Let's go back to your career a little bit. How did you begin as a playwright?
Oh, I don't even know. I hung around with people involved in the theater at the legendary Cafe Chino. They were my buddies, and I wasn't planning to be a writer or anything, but I got jealous of all the applause they were getting. So out of sheer jealousy, I started to write, and then I was also acting, and next thing I know, I was considered a playwright. Joe Chino, the wonderful man who ran the Cafe Chino, decided to put on my plays, and that was very thrilling.
But now you teach playwriting. Did you
Yes.
take any formal courses?
No,
or?
never.
You started on your own?
I did it at the Cafe Chino. That was my graduate school and my college. I majored in Latin.
Wow. And after that, you've written how many plays now, Bill?
I don't know, 30-something, 40-something. I don't even know anymore.
And you're still very active. What are you working on now?
I'm working on a new play and my memoirs, a play called Wolf, and my memoirs, which are called Memoirs of an Ex-Boy. And so I'm
Okay. All right. So tell me a little bit more about the career of a playwright. I mean, how tough is it to get your work out there, to get a theater to present your work? What kind of advice do you give young people who are starting like you started?
Start your own theater and hang around with people who are starting in theater. That's the simplest thing. That's what I did. And be around people who are creating theaters and drama. That's how it's often done, and you become then part of the nucleus of a theater company, which is what Shakespeare did, and that's a traditional way of doing it. Chekhov also did that.
And later on, we're going to talk a little bit more about what students can learn here at Lehman College. But tell me a little bit more about William Hoffman, the playwright. What is it that drives you? What is it that gives you that idea that, hey, I should be bringing that to the stage?
When I run into a problem that I can't solve in my real life, I often start thinking of solutions on stage. I have to solve it, whether they're moral issues or spiritual issues or political issues. I want to solve them.
Do you ever see like a situation and say, oh my God, that would work very well on stage. Let me see how I can work it into one of my, out of real life?
Yes, I've done that, but it never works.
Really?
That doesn't work. I found, you would think I have all these wonderful situations.
Right.
But
they don't. You can't seem to be able to put them in the same story, right?
It never turns out to be a good play. What I find is an unresolved problem is what generates a theater piece for me.
An unresolved. So, and when you resolve it by writing the play, do you feel better about it? Do you feel like people are getting a better understanding of the problem?
I think I'm getting a better understanding. I don't know about. Okay. I hope the audience is as well, but I'm writing it because I have a problem.
And sometimes you sit on this seat. You're the host of Conversations with William M. Hoffman. Yes. And what do you do on that show?
I do what you're doing with me right now, and I talk to my guests who are generally involved in the theater or music world. Occasionally we've been branching out into other fields as well.
So you bring on playwrights.
Playwrights, actors.
Theaters,
directors, critics. Singers.
I suppose New York is the best place to do that show, right?
Oh, you bet.
Because there's a lot of people you can bring on as guests.
A lot of old friends.
And this TV show is seen on CUNY TV, folks, so that for those of you who don't know, and it's on the internet, obviously, and it's very, very successful. You've been doing it how many years?
6 years. 6 years.
And you must have had quite a lot of people on the show by now.
50-something, 40 some odd. I forget the exact number. We just won our second Telly Award for our work on the show. I'm very proud to say.
Okay, so let's go back to As Is a little bit. What's going to happen now when they stage the play again? What do you expect from the audiences 25 years later?
I don't have a clue, which I've had very little to do with the production. I'm really glad to say, because it gives me a chance to look at it with a fresh eye. And so I'm very curious to see how audience is going to react.
You haven't seen even a rehearsal yet?
No. And I think they want me to come in with a fresh eye. I'll go in a week or so.
Oh, you're going to see it before opening night, I hope?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then opening night, obviously, you'll be there.
Of course I will.
Okay. And a lot of us from Lehman College intend to be there with you, frankly.
God willing, yes.
Yeah. Bill, what happens on that play? Tell me the story a little bit.
Well, a pair of ex-lovers, or two guys, have broken up, and they're dividing their mutual property after some period of being away from each other. And during the course of a conversation, one of the lovers reveals that he's HIV positive.
To the other.
To the other, which catapults the play into what has happened in the intermittent time in the 6 months that they haven't seen each other. This man who has been on top of the world as a writer and as a businessman is now been rejected by his family, by his new lover, and everyone he knows. And the only one who's there for him is his ex-lover.
Who comes in and takes care of him?
Takes care of him, and much against his will. So this is not a happy situation, and we relive their past, and we go through the process of what it's like to undergo this horrendous thing.
And it's being presented where?
It's being put on by the Studio Theater on Theater Row.
Okay, and who's directing? Who's acting?
Walter J. Hoffman is directing it.
J. Hoffman, as
Yes,
opposed to M. Hoffman.
He's no
relation?
We even have the same initials, but
Really?
he's no relative.
Okay.
And I don't know the cast. These are newcomers to me, so I can't tell you.
Oh, wow.
I'm told they're very good, and this is going to be a big surprise to me.
It should be a wonderful surprise to see
Yes,
it
I
again,
think
to see
so.
it play again. I'm sure a lot of your friends and everybody who knows you is looking forward to this.
There are a lot of people who saw the play on Broadway and off Broadway who want to see it again, and I think they're going to be curious too, because it had a effect on people, a strong effect on people during that period.
We're almost out of time. Where how can people get tickets for the play? Where do they?
Call up Telecharge.
Telecharge.
Yes.
And ask for the name of the theater again.
It's the Studio Theater on Theater Row.
So Studio Theater, Theater Road, and the name of the play is As Is. Make sure you go there. Thank you. Thank you, William, for being on the show. We really appreciate it. And we're going to come back a little later with you after we talk to my next guest to talk about the theater program here at Lehman.